Opinions stated by various contributors to the Powerhouse Radio and its programming are not to be considered as endorsed by the Powerhouse Radio station. Visitors are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusion. We emphasize the importance of keeping an open mind.
Yeah. You listen to the sounds of DJ Fourth Quarter in your ear right now. If you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're on your phone, let's Gripe, baby.
Driving home and you feel kind of tired. Radio, same thing every day. So you can listen to your life. Except you got your hands up every night. Tune in the Powerhouse. We expect 79. You need to check them out. I promise I ain't trying to hide out. But when you listen tonight, the night change your life. So it's the name for the show. When you need something to just ride, you want to go. Or you might be home logged on. You can even listen on your phone. I promise that you're gonna love it. Just try one time, it'll blow your mind. Now I'm gonna play this one more time.
Every Wednesday from 7 to 9.
Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, January the 14th. It's Let's Gripe in the house. Of course, it's Tonia.
Hey, everybody. It's Mckenna. Happy New Year. I'm just glad to be back and be with you this evening. I look forward to a great show. And Tonia, it's so good to see you. I feel like it's been like 15 million years, but we're here. And we are just so thankful just for another day. Just for another day.
Just for another day. Yes, it's great seeing you. Everyone has been saying, where's Mckenna? I guess they're just tired of my hardcore, attitude. They was like, no, we need the voice of reasoning. We need the voice of reasoning. So welcome. We know everyone, we're busy with everyday life and changes that is coming on. But thank you so much for always hanging with Let's Gripe. We are the original. So, everyone is used to seeing not only my face, but definitely your face. Of course, MG is not able to be here tonight. Of course, his work schedule, life is lifing right now. Life is lifing right now. So, but when he's able to join us, he's definitely going to be here. So, and of course, we have Dr. Rass here. He was like, he loved the concept of our show. And he definitely wanted to join us. So I'm so glad that he's taking time out of his busy schedule to join us over here at the Powerhouse Radio. Dr. Ross, you get to meet Mckenna finally.
Hey,
yes.
Welcome to the Gripe. I had a chance to listen a little bit last week. And, I'm just excited to be here with you today. Yes. So we get to vibe and ebb and flow. And I get to learn you and you get to learn me. So welcome.
Blessing Queen. I mean, well, it's, you're the original. I mean, so I'm just here to assist in whatever way I can, for the entertainment, the craziness, whatever it is, I'm Jamaican, so that's how it goes. But I mean, I heard a lot about you, and it's really good vibe, so I'm pleased to be here. Definitely, it's a joy, So let's go take on the whole world,
Yeah, so we're gonna do the dudes tonight, but Mckenna, I have to start you off with your gripe for 2026. We got to hear your gripe.
So I'm trying to not have too many gripes, but life is lifing. And my gripe is, as much as I stay on a news fast, this world feels like it's upside down every single day. Even though I try to avoid watching the news, listening to the news, America is not great. It's not great. 2 years ago, they were like, oh, it's going to be great again. And we were like, okay, if we want to see it. We want to see this great again America. And I haven't seen it yet. So my gripe is that we continue not to be great. And that's unfortunate. Now, as individuals, we always have a choice to be as great as we choose to be. And we don't have to be distracted by all of the distractions that are happening around us. We can always choose to close a blind, close a door, turn down the noise, focus on the inside, say a prayer if you believe in prayer, and find something to give meaning not only to your life, but add to your purpose. And I think that that is something, as we usher in a new year, we always talk about, well, what's going to be different this year than last year? And only we can decide that. We don't get to control all of the things that are happening around us, but we do get to make decisions about our individual lives and how we're going to make small changes just so that we can have a better quality of life on a daily basis.
Mckenna, you summed it up. You summed it up for most of us. Exactly. And now if you hear McKenna say that making America great again is not great, then I mean, we have so much to get into that concept of America not being great at this time. So we definitely going to get to that tonight. Dr. Ross, do you have a gripe that you may have? And then we can take it to the core because there's so much we have to touch bases on.
Honestly, for me, as soon as I go through and do my little research and then come back and say, okay, then maybe this could be my gripe. Then, I was up. I think it was early this morning or somewhere there when I saw in one of the articles that the U.S. has had I think 75 countries and their immigrants, the immigration ban, and Jamaica, which is one of those countries. So that was it for me in terms of my gripe, and I'm like, this is crazy. So I know that's something that we probably gonna touch on in our discussion. So that's just my whole thing, and it's heart wrenching. And as an immigrant myself, then it's very disturbing. And I know a lot of persons are going through the process of doing, and then they're saying by the 20th of January, I think, they're going to put a pause on it. So it's very ugly for us. And we know us as a people what we have been through, and it's not easy. So hope we can have a discussion around that topic.
Well, definitely, I think we're basically on the same gripe right now. Definitely with the U.S. Suspending 75 countries immigration visas. I think it is just everything that we've heard in the past as far as they didn't want immigrants here. Um, it's manifesting itself. People were saying no, he's just against this administration. Is just against criminals, illegal immigrants crossing the border, committing crime. Those are the things that they're focusing on. But now what's going on is showing you that's really not the focus of this administration as far as when it comes to immigration. It's more than that. I agree if you are an immigrant, if you're legal or legal, and you commit a atrocious crime. Yes, you're supposed to do the time. This is not your country that you were born in. Yes, I agree. Send you back to where you were originally from. But someone that is here illegal or legally and is trying to make a life for themselves and their family and is contributing to America values with great values that America wants to uphold. I'm against that. So it's so much that's going on. I think, and then when you start to see the rich people, the billionaires speaking on this administration when it comes to the ICE operation and so forth, then you really know, it's affecting not just the minorities, not just the everyday people, but it's affecting a lot. So my gripe is that I think we're going to be griping for the next 3 years if this administration stays in power for the next 3 years. I think it's going to be a constant gripe, even though we know that the groceries are getting higher, daily things that we need, gas, electricity, things that we need, utilities, everything that we need. We don't talk about much about that as we're talking about what's going on in this new administration. When the last time you had a conversation with someone about milk, egg prices? We haven't. It's just been about the ICE operation, people who are being killed, innocent people, families being separated. We're talking about that more than we're talking about the economy, what's going on. So definitely, Mckenna, if you would like to if you want to get into it, or
So I
uh,
think that, people are in this survival mode right now, because there's a lot of pressure that's happening around them, from high grocery prices to, people are underemployed. Some people are unemployed. Lots of people have lost jobs. Nobody's really talking about that. Um, if you're fortunate enough to have your own house, or your um, interest rates are kind of teetering a little bit. Um, Trying to find new housing is very expensive. So if you're a person that is entering the housing market because maybe your lease went up, trying to find somewhere else to move is it's not that easy. So there are a lot of things that people aren't talking about because people are just trying to figure out how to float above everything else that's going around. And what do I need to focus on? Some people are trying to find a job. We're not talking about the unemployment rate. Some people are, I saw a little news snippet the other day. Here in Georgia, there was an elderly lady, and her income is Social Security, so her check is like $1,200 per month. And they just raised her, she was in fixed housing, and they just raised her rent to $1,000 a month. Um, and no, they raised her rent, and she had to move because she couldn't afford to pay. So she found somewhere where she's renting like this real 600 square foot, one room spot for $1,000 a month, which leaves her with $250 a month to eat, pay her cell phone bill, and just live. And so there was a bill that this senator, I think, in the state, the representative in Georgia, had worked on before COVID, about if you're a senior on your fixed income, that they can only raise your rent by, I'm going to say 10%. Don't quote me because I don't have the information in front of me. But nothing happened on that bill. But now that the housing market here in Georgia is the way that it is, now that bill has a little bit of movement towards it, because there are a lot of people who are a paycheck away from being homeless. And anybody who knows people that live in apartments, ask them, did their rent go up here in January? Most people will say yes, their rent increased $200, $300 in some cases. So trying to figure out where to focus and what we should talk about, it's different for everybody because everybody's needs, although they're the same, we all need a place to live, we all need a job, we all need to have some activities outside of work. The stress of that is what we're not really talking about. And people are just imploding, I think, quietly. And I think we're in a real dangerous place if we don't manage our emotions and manage the stress that we have. We're going to see people do things that are unhealthy, like overeat, drink too much, sleep too much, fall into light depression, which then turns into major depression, snap on their family members, snap on their kids. So these are things that we have to just be mindful of as we look outside the window as to all of the things that are happening in this not great America, and this world.
Yes, so to piggyback on that, that's exactly what's going on with the visa um, being suspended in Jamaica. So when you apply for the visa and when you come to America, because they were saying something as far as they're getting assistance like welfare. That's not true. with the black, I should say the black immigrants. There was never anyone seeking any welfare, any food stamps or anything like that. But I did hear before, like maybe some people who were refugees from like Ukraine and those other countries, they would come here and they would get certain assistance, being refugees. When you look at Africa and Haiti, Jamaica, other black countries, they don't get those type of assistance. So for you to put everyone in the same basket is really not fair. You know, the powerhouse did just display where you can for mental health hotline org. It's definitely out there that you can call, talk to someone. You can be anonymous, but of course, if you call them and tell them that you feel like hurting yourself or doing something to someone, then yeah, your doorbell is gonna ring. But there are outlets out there that you can actually reach out to with everything that's going on. Even having a friend or family member that you can call and you can gripe, because believe me, my friends that sometimes when they miss my call, they call me back and they're like, "Hey, I missed your call. Everything okay? You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." "All right, well, I'm running some error. I'll call you back." So before they say that they're busy to talk to me, they will definitely always try to find out if I'm okay first. So I love that about my friends and family. I do the same as well because we also want to make sure each other is well. Because when we're having conversation, yes, we laugh and talk, but we always have to talk about what's going on today. So with that, did you have anything that you want to add, Dr. Ross? Because I wanted to kind of touch base on Nicole Good. I think Nicole Renee Good, who was shot last week by ICE agent during that operation that they was performing in Minnesota. Did you want to have anything that you want to add, Dr. Ross?
Well, I'll read the Renee situation with us.
I'm sorry, your the reception is not clear.
No, I'm saying the shooting of the ice with Renee. That's what we want to touch
Yes,
on.
yes.
Okay. Well, honestly, well, first let me say my condolences goes out to the family of the young lady, and whether it be a minority or someone from the upper echelon, I sympathize and I don't support it any at all. But based on how the whole icing is structured, and it seems like they override all laws and whatever. It doesn't matter. It seems like they're coming straight from the president himself. He's saying, listen, go out there. Well, I'm not maybe, it's just alleged that go out there and by whatever means do what you have to do. And if we should go back in history just a little bit, whenever there are any kind of uprising or protest against whatever structural system that is come against the people, and we realize that the persons who are like from the what would call the top shots are the big nuts, the white folks. Anytime you find that the white folks are the elite, they come to support us or support the minority, then they always make an example of them. I'm not saying that this is one of the case, but normally when they does come to support us, they will make an example out of them because they are not. No white folk, listen, no white people is supposed to come and assist us like that, trying to make alarm to say, oh, the ICE is here and blocking or causing any obstruction. Once they come on our side, then their people will make example of them. And it is very dangerous. And I saw the video, have my own analogy. But you know, the law enforcement, they're going to say that, well, she's a domestic terrorist and she was using her vehicle as whatever. I didn't see it that way. I clearly saw that she stopped. She was calling them to come through. They refused. They want to take her out of the vehicle. She tried to go. She was leaving. The officer could have easily moved half out the way, but I guess Mr. Rass decided to do what he did. And I am almost sure if it was a colored person or a black person, then the situation would have been worse. and maybe we wouldn't even be getting this whole media coverage. I'm glad he's not a member of the Somali community who was unalive in that case.
Exactly. And just to correct myself, I did say Nicole, but it's actually Renee Good. Also, but did you see today their release that the ICE officer who shot and unalive Renee Good um, had internal bleeding from that incident. But from all angle of the shooting, that vehicle never touched him.
Yeah.
I think they're just making up stories. We all saw the same video. We all saw it. So 6 months ago, he was drugged. They said he was drugged by a vehicle. So maybe it's from that event. But clearly not this one.
It's just another example of the media is going to put a spin on everything, and that's why Dr. Ross made a good point. We have to do our research. We have to look into it so that we can have an informed opinion about what happened. Um, and thank God for technology because we're able to see the angles from different, we get to see the event from different angles and not just go by the initial report. So of course the blue force, the ICE, the blue force, the police officers, they're going to stick to their code. Oh, he responded to the situation based on his training. That's always a go-to. My life was in jeopardy. I felt afraid for my life, so I used this force that was not excessive. Um, and this is not the first time that we've seen this type of response to these types of situations. And I think we're just going to see more of this until something somewhere changes. Um, and it's very uncomfortable to watch. It's very uncomfortable to observe. It's very uncomfortable to understand the impact that the administration's decisions is having on families. We spoke about immigrants in the 75 countries that were posted of families who families are trying to come, or families who have families here that might have to leave because of some of these changes that are happening. This is very real impact. This is going to impact everything from education to medicine to engineering to food service to hospitality. We're talking about the majority of immigrants that come to the United States come to look for work and do work. That's the majority. Of course, there's always 1 to 5% of any population that's mischievous, but in general, if you look at the statistics, most of our immigrants come educated people. They're coming to look for stability, housing, and a piece of this so-called American dream. They just want to work. And every population adds value to the American fabric. And so our culture is very diverse because we have so many diverse people here. If if we didn't have like I remember years ago, it's probably maybe in my 20s, I went to DC and I had never tried African food, but they had an area where there was several African restaurants and you had an opportunity to try something different, right? So we're not making America great by taking away the diversity. And yes, should there be some reforms? I'm sure there's an opportunity to go through and look at different policies, and make some small changes to make the process more efficient. I think it should be more efficient, more effective, having guidelines that make sense. But this administration um, already told us who he was, and we just didn't believe him. He already told us who he was. He already showed us who he was. And now all he's doing is reminding us of who he is by some of these policies.
You couldn't say it better than that. You have couldn't wrap it up as you did. It's definitely the way it is. But what about, did you see and heard he was visiting the Ford plant yesterday? And there was a worker in the audience that called him a pedophile protector. as the president of the United States, he said F you to that person, and then he stuck up his middle finger.
He told
As
us who he was, and now he's reminding us who he is. This never would have flown for any other president from our recent memory. None of them. This is not a professional, poised, political leader who is managing or governing a country. That was nothing but ego on his shoulder. And he responded straight from that place of ego. Did he respond from a place of leadership? No. Did he respond from a place of intelligence? No. Did he respond from a place where people have the opportunity in this free country to have a difference of opinion or express their freedom of speech? No. What he did was take it personal, and he responded in a personal, and all he did was demonstrate who he's not. He is not that person. He is not smarter than a fifth grader. I mean, there are probably 12th graders who are taking civics and politics that could run a city or a town better than this person that we went out and voted for. And there are people that, despite his personality, despite his lack of leadership, they're still rocking with him. They still 10 toes down with him.
I know for me, years ago, if I went to the mall with a group of friends, and if there were one or two that became loud and obnoxious, just acting a fool, I wanted no association with them. I'm walking the other side. I'm walking away from it. So for this man to be the leader, the president of the United States, and cannot put aside his personal feelings, no matter who heckles him, who makes comments, throws out different wording to him, to walk it out, to do that, the rest of the world leaders are laughing at America. No one is taking America serious anymore. And I believe, and even the media and other leaders has been saying it, this president is trying to distract from that Epstein file. And it's like, but he's trying to draw a distraction, but why is there nothing being done about these files? But then he comes out and says, hey, we're going to sign an executive order so the credit card company can only charge a maximum of 10% interest on these credit cards for 1 year. Hey, I'm trying to get the interest rate drop, but at the same time, you look like, oh, he's trying to do something. No, he's trying to save the faces and trying to get the Republican Party re-elected for this midterm election that's coming. Because regardless if they're a Republican that does not agree with him, they don't say it out loud. They don't say anything. They don't even vote with the Democrats. You are going to lose your seat this year. So not only he has so much distractions going on, he's also trying to say, here, let's get them some crumbs here. Let's make them happy here. So when the midterm come along, their vote, the Republican Party will vote for the Republican Party so we can keep our seats. A few weeks ago, he got on national stage and says, hey, if we lose the House, they're going to impeach me. A normal person, even though they have a certain agenda that they want to get through, would say, well, if we lose the House and the Senate, things that we're trying to get done won't get done. But the first thing comes out of his mouth is impeachment. And I am waiting, and I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be surprised if the Republicans lose by just a little. I mean, I want them to lose by a landslide, but I would be surprised and not surprised if they lost by 10 votes versus 100. Because at this time, I'm not sure why no one can get it. Even if it's say, okay, you know what? We need to put our foot down and vote for humanity, respect, and forget about the loyalty, forget about the red and blue. We need a leader that can run this country fairly, responsibly, and to make America great for real. You know, not again, but for real.
Um, my thing is that I think he's the perfect president for the persons who for the persons who wants main power and the agendas that needed to be carried out. Because I mean we all know that so many things he's talking about and he's doing. I personally, in my own opinion, don't think that it's from his heart or whatever. I think he's been given a certain agenda and he needs to carry out those thoughts. Even if you watch the clip where he was at the Ford factory, he was talking to the CEO, clearly and running a factory and those some of those things, the technicalities, it is not his competence. But yet he speak, let he spoke as if he is aware and he knows exactly what is going on. And he was saying that we need the cars to be manufactured here. We do not need the parts and we don't need certain supplies from other countries. And clearly he does understand that yes, even though the cars are manufactured here, a lot of the components are from other countries. They outsource other stuff. So maybe certain things that we don't have in the States, they'll get it from China or Taiwan or some other countries and they'll put them together to make a complete product. But he's saying that, listen, we can do without them, we don't need them. But for you to make those decisions, it's way tougher than just saying it. So we clearly see that he's saying a lot of stuff and a lot of nothing, but clearly there are persons behind him who are giving him agendas. Even with the whole Venezuela situation. Now I want to know just to deflect a little bit. When I was watching one of those press conferences, when they asked him who is going to be running the country, he said these people behind me, they're going to be running the country. He was talking about Marco Rubio and two of the other gentlemen. And I saw on interviews where they asked them if they are running the country. And they clearly said, no, we're not, it's President Trump. So clearly, what I realized with him, he will say a lot of nothing. He will just say, okay, we're doing this or we're doing that. Now, when you delve down in it, that's not the case. So a lot of persons have been misled. And what I can tell you, he's a president, so his presidential pardon will be on the top of the board, so nothing will happen. He will know for whatever crime or whatever he does, there's no consequences. So a lot of the persons beneath him, they're going to end up burned. And you're going to see a lot of them are going to lose their job. They're going to get into a lot of problems. The system going to have their way with them because he is going to move himself aside and push his people to pay the blame. So it's just sad to say. But the thing is, as a people, we have to come together and we have to fight for ourselves. We have to pool our resources together and, we just got to do what we have to do for us. Because guess what? Whatever it is that needs to be done for the black community, I personally believe that it must be done by the black community. We just can't depend on them. If we get resource or we get some kind of assistance, then we take it with grace. We have a black president run for 8 years and he didn't do much for us or anything. So I don't expect a white person to do it, but we have to go with grace.
Dr. Ross, I like your reminder that we are empowered to help ourselves. We look around, and and some of that is history. We've been conditioned to not depend on ourselves. And, we've had businesses and towns and Black excellence that was burnt to the ground. And so some of that has been forgotten. But the reminder is we need to look around to each other and find a way to rebuild each other and depend on each other, because we know that this government is not going to do it for us. And so there are lots of small movements. Recently, I saw a little feed on, I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram, where a family has brought some property and they've built houses, on that property. They have a garden on that property. And those are small things that we can do, is to go back to that community and not the individuality. Um, the individuality says when you're 18, you need to get out of your parents' house. But the community says, yes, you're 18. Yes, you can vote. But now what do you want to do? Go work, save you some money, buy you a piece of property, pool your resources, maybe start a company. So we need to go back to traditional values that we might not remember because we haven't been taught them, or they got lost with grandma or great grandma, or they got lost with auntie because she got tired of fussing. And I think we need to go back to those days where two and three of us lived together, and we built something. One person was able to save some money, and it was about the community and not the individual. And I think that's going to take maybe 2 generations, but I think if we start now, we'll have a greater opportunity to rebound from a lot of this damage that's happening. But as long as we continue to forget or not learn about the past, then we're doomed to recreate this false narrative that it's every man for himself. And that's not how it was really supposed to be. We're supposed to be a village. I'm supposed to have a cup of sugar and you're supposed to have a cup of milk, and somebody else is supposed to have a cup of flour, and bring it together. We're going to make some pancakes or some muffins or something, and everybody eats. But nobody eats if, you keep your flour and I keep my egg and you keep your sugar. We're all looking at one ingredient. But if we bring it together, then we have something, and we can manifest and we can produce something. So thank you for that reminder of let's reach across the aisle and see how we can help each other. And stop looking around the corner to say, well, what is the government going to do? There are a lot of communities and neighborhoods who have started community gardens. Some of those started right after COVID. And some communities had them, but people are bringing attention to them. Some people have always grown fruits and vegetables, and there are people that have never grown anything and are now like, I just grew some basil, or I just grew a cucumber, or I just grew a tomato. And it's very exciting. But commercial capitalism kind of took all of that from us. And I don't know if it meant to, but it ended up doing that. And now we have to kind of get back to, for those of us who believe in God and creation, he created everything that we needed, and it's up to us to have dominion over it. And so I think we just kind of need to think about what that looks like in our own small circle, and find ways to catapult that in a direction that reinvests back into ourselves.
Thank you for that, McKenna. I'm going to piggyback on that. So, for example, in your community, reach out to the food banks. If you're able to donate food, canned goods, you know, contact your local food banks and donate what you can. If you could donate a couple of dollars, if you know someone who do need assistance with food, you can definitely also let them know about the nearest food bank. If you can help them out with buying bread, bread, egg, and milk, the most necessities, do that. We have to at this time, that is what we need to do. Kimberly said, client told me she has bills and not enough income. She says $60 was a lot for her to pay for her health insurance. I thought to myself, sounds like she needs a roommate. Yes, a lot of people nowadays, if you know someone, I would not suggest strangers because we just don't know people's agenda and backgrounds. But if you know someone that may be having, financial difficulties, And if they're looking to downsize, if you could rent them a room, I think that's definitely something that you can talk to them about. Karen says, Kimberly, people are afraid to have roommates because it's hard to trust people. Yes, exactly. Sometimes you get them in your house, you can't get them out, so now they want to take over your home. So I suggest someone that you may know. That's something right now with community, different state subsidy. A lot of those they don't have money at this time. They're not getting funded from this administration. So as far as looking for companies or churches who maybe could help with rent, it's scarce now.
Mhm.
But even as far as a lot of times we like eating out sometime. Maybe the eating out we have to, instead of, I love Publix sandwich. I remember I went last week to get a sandwich and I said, I'm gonna buy the lunch meat and the bread and make my sandwich. So I paid around the same amount for the lunch meat, the bread. I had the cheese and all the other stuff at home, and I paid less than the sandwich would cost, and I was able to get two sandwich from it. So those are the things that I have implemented in my life this year. Is spending wisely.
Mhm. I
So
just want to touch on one thing that Kim said. Hey, Kim, she mentioned health insurance. That's another thing that has gone up. Everybody's health insurance has increased. I had a friend who has been on her job a year. And so this January, this month, she's able to enroll in her health insurance. And through her company, it was $800 a month, her portion that she would have to pay. Um, and she was floored. She was like, I've been here a whole year and had no idea that health insurance was going to cost me and it's just for herself only. And that look that you have on her face, Tonia, that's the look she had. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So she shopped around and was able to find another policy outside of her company, but she still has to pay like $625. So it was less, but that was the option. And she said, I searched and I called around, and she's here in Georgia, and I called around, and that's all I could come up with. And so, not to say that $60 isn't a lot, because everybody's income and what they have left over is different. But imagine paying, that's a car note, $600 a month for health insurance. And this was like the bottom policy that she could find, just so that she could go have a couple of wellness checks, and have a couple of co-pays. And so when we talk about the impact of this administration, let's not forget about health insurance. Having health is priceless. Being healthy is priceless. Like, you do not want to be in somebody's emergency room with overworked doctors and nurses and professionals who want to do a good job, but they're also bound by the resources that they have at their hospital. And then, not to mention the politics that's associated with healthcare, where we know that this procedure would help you, but because maybe you're a minority, or maybe you have this particular insurance, I'm not going to offer you that particular procedure. So there's a lot of things to consider when we talk about, making this country great without the, again, access to just health insurance. It's expensive. We know about 3 weeks ago, there were a lot of people that were down with a variation of the flu. People miss work. Nobody wants to miss work at the top of the year. You don't want to use your vacation at the top of the year to be sick. And just having to get prescriptions filled, that's a burden on families. What did they say? Oh, I miss it. $290 was the cheapest they qualified. Yeah. Wow. So that, to the point that Kim made, insurance is expensive. So stay well, take your vitamins, get some vitamin D, walk in
and some
place,
emergency.
take some emergency.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a station break real quick, and we'll be right back.
You're in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean.
Want to send a big shouts to all of our sponsors who continue to sponsor the Powerhouse Radio and all their fantabulous programmings right here. We want to ask you to join us each and every Wednesdays for Let's Gripe with Tonia, Marcus McKenna, Dr. Ross. That's each and every Wednesday, 7 p.m. up until the 8 o'clock hour. Also, join us tomorrow for Reasoning Thursdays, each and every Thursdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You also have the Lady D show from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon with all the best in all genres of music. And if you love to love upon yourself or love upon your significant other, be sure to join us for All About Love, Nothing But Love, each and every Sundays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We have your love colors, your love numbers, your love questions. So please be sure to join us. Please like and subscribe. Please like the video if you are enjoying it. It helps us to rise in the algorithm. Thank you so much for joining us right here on DA Powerhouse Radio. Also want to say big shouts to the victorious 89.1 FM radio station.
Victorious 89.1. 89.1.
You're in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean.
All right, so we're back. We're back. So it looked like Dr. Ross has having some technical difficulties. But yes, please like and share the Powerhouse Radio YouTube page as well as Let's Gripe. It's so much that we can talk about. Sometimes we don't have enough time to talk about it, but just touching on the things that it's something that everyone wants to talk about. We try to bring that to you every week. So if you have a topic or a question that you would like for us to answer or discuss on our show, just send us an email at letsgripe@gmail.com. But Mckenna, I told Dr. Ross last week we had to touch on something. So last week on the show, we had a listener send a email, and she was just basically saying, why does men, why do men move on fast when a relationship is over? Dr. Ross pretty much said women move on faster. So I had my opinion, but everyone is looking to see what your opinion is on that, Mckenna.
All right. So the question was, why do men move on faster than women? I would say that women were more connected to the experience in our emotions, and men are able to sever that faster than us. So when we love hard, we love from our emotions. Um, and sometimes it's harder for us to let go. Um, and it's just part of our DNA. We're made up differently than men. So genetically, we're made up differently than men. Emotionally, we're made up differently. And different parts of our brain are involved in the relationship. And so when the relationship is over, there's chemicals that happen in our brain, and we have to grieve. So we go through all of the stages of grief when the relationship's over. We're angry, we're upset, we're in denial. And then we bargain. So maybe we're like, well, if he did this, maybe we could still be together. And it takes us through all of these phases before we can actually get to the phase of accepting the fact that this relationship didn't work, whether it was because I didn't do my part, whether it's because he didn't do his part, whatever the reason, we have to go through all of those phases to get to the acceptance. And when we get to the acceptance is usually when we're ready to move on. And so that process for men is not the same, because once it's over, for some men, and not all, because we're all individuals, but for some men, they're like, all right, and they're ready to move on. The emotional piece is something that is more important for us than for some men. And for some men, once the physical piece is done and the understanding that this relationship is over, then they're ready to move on. The emotional piece is not necessarily their primary need. It's our primary need. And we've talked about this before, and we give up certain things to get our primary needs met, just like men do. And their primary need might be something different. So they're going to take you out to eat. They're going to tell you you look good. They're going to send you that good morning boo text message, hey queen, hey princess, because they're trying to get their primary need met. And once they realize that need is not going to be met there, then they're ready to move on to get that met somewhere else. Inversely, we're still in that grief pit. We're still mourning the loss. We can't believe it's over. We're angry about it. He lied, whatever the situation might have been. He moved away. All he didn't communicate enough. All he had to do was communicate, and we could have still been right here together. He messed this all up because he refused to communicate. So we have to go. It's who we are. We have to go through all of those phases before we are ready to bring some closure and move on, because closure is important to some women. Like for some of us, emotionally, we're not in a space where we can allow somebody to come back into that space. And that's what we call baggage, right? And so if we don't close it up and zip up that suitcase, then all of that stuff spills over into the next relationship. And then that person is ready to move on because they're like, girl, you're crazy. You're tripping. Don't take it out on me. What the last man did. We've all heard these kind of phrases. And so I think one thing we have to remember is they're not like us and we're not like them. So when we stop trying to understand the differences between men and women and accept the fact that this is the process that I need to get to, I think we give ourselves permission to hang out in this single room a little bit longer than somebody else. If we try to move out of this single room a little bit too early, we bump our head against the wall. We find the knucklehead. We give it up too quick. We're not satisfied. We're looking at him through the lens of this other person, and he's not him. And so I think for individuals, and I'll just say women in this conversation, know who you are and what you need. And remember, it's your responsibility, and I'm talking to myself, to know what I need and to make sure that my needs are getting met. It's not always the other person's responsibility. So if you like to color, get you a coloring book. Don't expect him to color with you. That's what you want to do. If you want to go to the movies, if you want to go to a concert or play, that might not be what that other person wants to do. Sometimes we look to the other person to meet all of these needs when we really need to spend a little bit of time figuring out, okay, these are the needs that I can meet for myself. And then as a couple in a relationship, what are your needs? What needs can we meet together? And then focus on that togetherness versus, and that goes to that development, just knowing thyself, being a little bit more mature, having those conversations and managing, y'all listen, managing the expectation. And I'll yield back. I want to hear what Dr. Ross has to say.
Well, first, let me how's my audio? Because I turned my volume down a little bit. It's sound a little bit better now.
A little. It's still kind of you kind of sound far away with a little choppiness in it.
Okay.
But we can hear you.
Okay. You Sister Mckenna, you've made some great points. Me sitting down listening to what you have to say, then it seems like I would say it generalizes and it reflects on both sexes. So I agree with most, if not all, of what you have said, but to me, it applies to both units. So both male and female could benefit from those line of conversation. And truth be told, that's what I said, in my experience or whatever I've seen, I think women moved on faster based on my analysis and based on what I've seen in my surroundings and my experiences. I've not done a general survey to say yes, it is, but based on my experience, that's my conclusion. But however, those are some great points. So looking back now, when you say that, listen, women are more emotionally inclined and they're more emotionally attached. So that could be a reason for them holding on to a certain level. And that's a very good point. So that's one of the reasons not to derail from the conversation. When it comes to cheating, a man will go out there and randomly have sex with anybody and come back home to his woman, and the relationship at home remains the same. But when a woman does it, it's different. So women don't just go out there and cheat. They have to do it with somebody they are into, somebody who they like, somebody who they have a crush on, somebody who they have been eyeing for a minute. So when they eventually go out and have that fling, they become emotionally attached to that person. But then it affects the men at home. So I can clearly see where the emotion lies in a woman. Say, okay, then I can't give up so easy. Let's fight some more. When as a man, listen, we're done, we're out. There's no going back. So I get where you're coming from when you put it that way.
Yes, definitely, McKenna, you did. You even brought some points that even sometimes me as a woman, we forget sometimes. We look for closure sometimes, and sometimes it's not about the closure. Sometimes we have to do the closure ourselves. So um Kim says, I'm sorry I did not say hello to Tonya and Dr. Ross. I like how Dr. Ross is listening intentionally. This is a great question, like both Dr. Ross and last week and McKenna today. Definitely, because we have the both sides. With me, I am very emotional, so definitely it's gonna take me a time. It's never like that, and it's good. Nothing wrong with that, because you don't want to take that baggage from here to there. So to our listener who sent that question, there you go. You got McKenna's point and you got Dr. Ross. My point is, I'm on both sides, but again, I'm going to say men move on faster regardless of what. Now, what I did notice though, y'all, Dr. Ross look like he's a little emotional too. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yes, it's nice to have emotional men in our lives. Yes. I can't wait till MG come back and we gonna see how it really go. But it's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with being that man that does not move on fast. You have to digest what just happened and probably meet someone that is to your liking. So it's nothing wrong with being a little emotional, because I see that in you, Dr. Ross. So again, it's 8:06. Time goes so fast when we're having fun. So guys, thank you so much again for tuning in, listening to the powerhouseradio.com with Let's Gripe on Wednesday, 7 to 8. McKenna, I'm so happy you're back. Life is life, but we're not gonna life without you though. We, even if you're not able to make it a week or so, we still look. It's McKenna, it's MG, Dr. Ross, and Tonya, here at the powerhouseradio.com. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. McKenna, Dr. Ross, you guys go ahead and take us out.
I just want to say it's good to be back. Dr. Ross, it's good to meet you. And our listeners, we look forward to just having more fun next week. Send in those emails because we love questions. Send them in.
Definitely it's a pleasure to be here. When it comes to the raspiness, the thought provoking, the uncomfortable conversation, then I'm with it. Jamaica, yo, what go on? Make the talk up the things. I'm ready now. Oh, y'all don't understand? I'm ready for any conversation. Let's go. Have a good weekend. Big up the Powerhouse Radio.
Powerhouse, take us out. Thank you guys. See you next week.
If you're in your car, if you're at home, if you're on your phone, that's right, baby.
Driving home and you feeling kinda tired. Hey, radio play the same thing every day. So you need a little switch in your life. Traffic got you jammed up every night. Tune in to Powerhouse. Wednesday 7 to 9, you need to check them out. I promise I ain't trying to hype. The one good listen tonight, it might change your life.
So what's the name of the show? You need something to just ride to on the go. Or you might be home for long gone. You can even dial in on your phone. I promise that you're gonna love it. Just try it one time, it'll blow your mind. Now I'ma say it just one more time. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9. Let's cry. 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 Let's cry.
You're in tune to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean.